and then go live. So I think we might be live now, but let me check on Facebook to see anything. There's sometimes a little lag.
I just got an alert saying that you're live, so.
That's exciting. I haven't gotten mine yet, so yours is fast.
Okay.
So I think we're live here on AAC Storytime, and I'm really excited today. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're not reading a book today. Instead, we're going to try to help everyone at home or wherever you're at to be able to share reading more independently, wherever you are. And I'm very excited to have Maggie Jetson here today. I met Maggie at ATIA in January, which seems like an eternity ago, like a whole other world. She's very knowledgeable, and when I thought of this topic, I was like, this is the person that I really want to have. So Maggie Jetson is an ASHA certified speech language pathologist, an assistive technology professional working for a special education cooperative in Southern Illinois, where she specializes in augmentative and alternative communication. In this role, Maggie provides consultations, evaluations, and direct therapy for students with complex communication needs, as well as implements professional development activities around the topic of AAC and literacy. She has presented at regional, state, and national level, and has contributed to various AAC blogs. You can find her on Instagram at TheBookishSLP. And I was just talking with Maggie, but she was accepted to present at an international conference this summer that was postponed until next summer, but very impressive.
Well, it was very exciting, but yeah, next summer.
Without further ado, here is Maggie, and she's going to talk a little bit about some 5 easy tips for adapting books.
Well, hello, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for putting on this AAC Storytime. I've shared this link with my families because the videos have just been so fun and exciting to watch. So I'm very happy and excited to be here. But yes, we're doing something a little different today. We're going to share 5 tips around a topic. And the topic that we're talking about today is adapting books. So when you're adapting a book, it's when you're making a change to the book to make it more accessible. So there's lots of different ways to do this based on what the need is or what the goal is. We're going to talk about 5 tips for adapting books to make it easier for you as the communication partner to work in the AAC system and to work in that aided language input, which is you touching the device when you say the word. I like to think of it as talking in AAC. Books are a great opportunity to provide that. So we're going to go over some 5 easy tips for adapting books. All right, so tip 1 is to highlight the words in the book. So this is a very simple way to draw visual attention to the words that you want to target. So I'm going to show my book that I have. I'm using I Want My Hat Back as an example. So in this book, I've highlighted, can you see this okay?
It's a little bit small, Maggie. Let me see if I can stop sharing so they can see you a little better when you're providing examples.
All right. Okay, there we go. Now I can see what I'm looking at. So I highlighted the word that I want to target, my. So you can do this with just a highlighter marker if you don't mind it being permanent. Or I love this highlighting tape. I got it from the Dollar Tree in the Dollar Spot. But what else is really awesome are these little highlighting pieces of paper that come pre-cut, and you can get these at the Dollar Tree or at Walmart. And it's just so easy. You just put it right over the words that you want to target. And that way, when you get to that, you have that visual right there that those are the words that you want to provide aided language input for. So let me see if I can hold this and a communication board at the same time. And I can show you what that would look like. So you see here, when you get to that word, my, that reminds you that you want to provide that aided language input and touch it on the device. My hat is gone. I want it back. So very simple, very easy, but it gives you a nice visual. All right, tip 2, and I have a page here I can hold up to share
I
that.
can pull it up every time we move to a different tip.
Perfect. All right, tip 2, add a sticky note. So this is another super simple way to highlight those target words. So you just, on a sticky note, write what words are going to be your target words for the whole book or for that individual page. So for this page on my book, I'm going to target the words want, my, and I. So all I do is I go on my book and I put those right there on that page. And again, it just sorry, had to call. These are the words that you want to target and provide aided language input for. So again, you would get to that word. Have you seen my cat? Just a simple visual for you as the communication partner as a reminder. All right, so that was tip 2. On to tip 3.
Tip 3.
Tip 3. Oh, I love this tip. Highlight the words on the AAC system. So this isn't an adaptation to the book, but it is a way to adapt the shared reading experience to, again, make it simple for you as the communication partner to work in AAC. So we'll go with that example of my target words being my, I, and want. So with the manual communication board, this is super easy. If it's laminated, you can take a dry erase marker and just circle those words. They're right there. If you are using a app on an iPad or you have a speech generating device, you can still highlight those words. This was just a simple edit where I went in and I highlighted, I changed the border color and I changed the border thickness. So again, it just gives me a visual where those words are right there on the AAC system. So this makes it so simple because when you're reading, sometimes like you're busy trying to read and enjoy the interaction, having those words highlighted, you don't have to think about where they are. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so you get to that word, my, and I don't even have to look, it's right there. My cat is gone. I love pairing tip 1, where you have the words highlighted in the book, with tip 3, because I don't know about you, but I benefit from lots of visuals, and this just makes it, when you're reading it, you see exactly what words you're going to be targeting, and then you see exactly where they are on the AAC system. So it really makes things simple, which I like. All right, tip 4. All right, tip 4 is simplify the text. So you might have a book that you know your child is just going to really like because of the illustrations or the contents, but maybe the text is a little complex, feels too wordy, so you can simplify it. So this is simply summarizing each page into a short phrase. So think 3 to 4 core words. I have an example here. So I have this page in my book, and compared to the other ones, there's a lot more sentences on here, and the words are, the sentences are a little bit more lengthy. So I wanted to simplify it. So I wrote the simplified phrase on my Post-it note, and I just added it right here to my page.
And I think, Maggie, that's really awesome too. Like, even if you read the whole thing and you have your child is super engaged,
Yes.
but that gives them a simple way to help summarize. So you're teaching another literacy skill of summarizing the text or getting the main point out of the text.
Yeah, and then it helps you kind of think about those target words that you want to work in on the AAC system, because you've summarized it with those core words, which we know live on the main page of the AAC system because there are important, flexible words. So yeah, there's a couple different ways that you can use this. You can still read the text and then have that as a summary, or just read what you did. So it's a simple way to adapt the book and make it easier for you when you are providing that talking in AAC.
Mm-hmm.
All right, tip 5. All right, I love this tip because you don't have to do anything. You use the pictures in the book. So use the story illustrations to add support to the text. This is really useful for the story's fringe vocabulary. Those are our nouns that are usually important to the story, right? So they're going to probably be in the illustrations or in the pictures. So what you would do is point to the word and then point to the picture of that word in the illustration. So let me find my page in my book that has that as an example. So here's my picture of my bear and this rabbit. And the story says, have you seen my hat? So I highlighted the word hat because hat is in the illustration. So I can provide support to the text by pointing to the hat and then pointing to the picture of the hat. So I'm pairing those, and that helps make a connection to the text, but also back to the story. So super simple way to provide support super quickly.
Yes, and that I just love that idea because it really reinforces the for comprehension that learners need the context.
Yes, it adds that in and it's on the go. You can do it simply while you're reading the book. There's no prep ahead of time, which is awesome.
It's a great tip.
Leads perfectly into our bonus tip. So we did 5 tips, but a bonus tip is don't stress it. So if you have time to adapt a book ahead of time, simply awesome. But if you don't, that's no problem either. The ultimate goal is for you to get comfortable that you can pick any book off the bookshelf and work in the AAC. So if you don't have time to adapt, no problem. We have a couple extra ideas for you. So one is to use the device's word finder feature. So if you pick a book off the bookshelf, you've not read it before, you're not sure what words are in here. When you come to one that you know, though, is important either to the story or maybe it's a word that you find that you say a lot, so you were like, oh, this would be a good word to target on the device. You don't know where it's at, find it on the word finder. So nobody has seen my hat. Nobody. I want to say that word on the device, but I don't know where it's at. Let's find it. So depending on what AAC system you have, for this example, I'm using Lamp-Words for Life. So I would just say, oh, let's go to our keyboard, go to Word Finder, and I'm going to spell it in. N-O-B-O-D-Y. And look, we found it. And it will lead you right to where the word is. So on the fly, you can provide that support on the AAC system. Another great way to do it is just to spell the word on the keyboard. And I was watching a story time the other day, Susan, and you did that for a word, where you just went to the keyboard and you spelled it. So what if I never see it again? Ooh, never. Let's find that word. Oh, you know what? I don't know where it's at. I'm going to spell it. And you can just go to the keyboard and say the letters while you're spelling it, which is also another great literacy building opportunity to work in letter sounds and work in that skill of spelling. So super simple too for you to provide on the go.
Mm-hmm. And we know that some kids, like, that is something that's like the focus initially is that knowing letters, and so helping them realize that they have those letters in their device can be really empowering, and the connection of those letters in their device to the letters in the book, it's all very great to teach them.
You can use it a variety of ways. And then the other thing is work in words that you're comfortable with to talk about the story or to talk about the illustrations. So let's say this week you have been targeting the words look and feel and stop and other activities, or those are just been words that you're really comfortable with, you know where they're at. So work them in when you're talking. So let's say I'm on this page again, and I get done reading the text, but then I'm going to provide aided language input while I'm making comments. So I could say, oh, look, look, the bear stopped. Oh, he's laying down. He's not going anymore. Oh, I think he feels really sad that he can't find his hat. So I'm just simplifying it for me. I'm going to focus in on those words that I am comfortable with while we're commenting about the book. So that's a simple way to just grab any book off the shelf and adapt it to your shared reading experience.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, those are the tips. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about the practice of adding symbols to text in books. So I'll show you what that looks like. It's the practice of taking a symbol that is on the AAC system and pairing it with the text in the book. So you might see it like this, where it's cut out and it's added right to the word. And the thinking behind that is that adding AAC symbols to the text provides access to text that a student could not otherwise read. But there's a lot of information in research out there that says actually that can hinder a student's ability to focus in on the word, and it can make it a little bit harder for them to learn reading and learn spelling skills. So while symbols are super important to have available while we're doing the shared readings so that we can talk about the story, books are also awesome opportunities to work in those literacy skills of reading, spelling. And so if we keep the symbols out, we're making sure that we're addressing that as well. So I have some resources I wanted to share where you can go to learn more about that topic. So the first one is Comprehensive Literacy for All. And this is a book, and Susan, I know you have your copy there too.
I do.
So yeah, it's a great book. It is thick, but it's easy to read, and it has pretty much everything in here that you would want to know about teaching comprehensive literacy for students with complex communication needs. But they address that topic in here very well. And then I have a couple other places that I love to go to learn more about literacy as well. So projectcore.com is a great website. They have a variety of resources and information, and they have pre-recorded webinars that you can watch as well. Angelmen.org has a series of trainings. They have like a lot of trainings, and they're really good recorded webinars, all about the topics of communication, but also literacy. So that's a fabulous place to go as well. Literacyforalinstruction.ca is a great website with just tons of information about literacy and incorporating literacy learning for your child if they use AAC system. And then also a good standby is practicalaac.org. I check this out every day. She always shares such great information around literacy. So those are my top 5 places that I go. Susan, would you agree? Do you have any to add?
Yes, I think those are all fantastic resources. In the Storytime group I shared yesterday, there's a webinar that Karen Erickson and
Caroline Musselwhite.
Thank you. I was like, I know it's Carol something.
Well, I just watched it this morning, so yes.
Yes, I need to rewatch it because I was like trying to make cinnamon rolls while I was watching it, so I didn't catch everything. But the resources that they were talking about on there were fabulous. So check that out. I know that they said they're going to post that recording to YouTube.
It's up there now. Yep.
Up there now, so be sure to go and watch that for more additional resources. And then this is another book that I had as part of one of the texts. I took an AAC and literacy course this last semester in my doctoral program, and it's called Effective Literacy Instruction for Learners with Complex Support Needs by Susan Copeland and Elizabeth Keith. Also really great information for educators or parents. This one's a little bit more, it is very reader friendly, but it's written more for like a teacher textbook, if that makes sense, like for professionals. Also accessible to parents if you want that. But yes, I think with the practice with symbolizing the text, you might get you might see something right at the very beginning where you feel like you're making progress, but it's not anything that translates over. So if you put another book with the word want, are they going to be able to decode that word want independently without the symbol next to it, which is our end goal? Karen Erickson was at ATIA, and she and some of her students had a poster actually, which was really fascinating. But they took the Literacy Bill of Rights and they took the symbols that are sometimes associated with that and tried to have speech language pathology graduate students match them up, and it was not successful. So in that study, I was like, whoa, like let's think about what we're doing for our kids and if this practice is actually supporting them or not. So just, look at the research, make an informed decision about how you're Adapting text, I think all of Maggie's suggestions were fabulous to kind of highlight the words and the fact practice decoding and word recognition. Another thing that I didn't jump in there quick enough, but I've also used WikiSticks and PuffPaint if it's
So
your
I
own.
was gonna say WikiSticks on your tablet, but unfortunately I have all of my materials at home, so I wasn't able to demonstrate that. But that is a no-tech way to like quickly highlight the words, because sometimes you're doing things on the fly, like in the moment when you realize that support is needed. So yes, WikiSticks. And what was your other one?
So on the book PuffPaint, if you want to
Yep.
trace the words themselves, and that's a way to make it more tactile too. So even if every book on the cover you use WikiSticks to highlight the title, if you're working on recognizing the title, or throughout the book you always underline that one word, they're a great movable way to
Yes.
highlight those words. And like Maggie said, you can do that very quickly. Puff paint is a little more permanent, but also it adds a little tactile layer.
Mm-hmm. Which can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of about figuring out what works for you and having practice some of those things so that you know in the moment if you need to do that to help support yourself or your child while you're reading, you feel comfortable to do that.
Yeah.
So I love all those ideas.
So yeah, all these supports are meant to only be supportive. So if you feel like it's extra, then that's the time to throw it out.
Yeah. Bonus tip, don't stress it. Shared reading, it's about connecting and making, an enjoyable experience together. It's also a great time to work on communication and literacy, but when it feels natural and when you feel like you can jump into that. So yeah, don't stress it.
Perfect. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Maggie?
I think that might be it. I'm just, like I said, very excited that I was able to join you today and we were able to make this happen, but yeah.
So next week I'll get that information out soon, but I'm going to be reading Are You My Mother? And then my friend Kristen Powell will be on next Friday reading a story. So we'll have 2 guest readers. If you guys really enjoyed this kind of content in AAC Storytime, please let me know. And in the comments by, giving a thumbs up or saying, yes, this is great. Because the live Storytimes can only, as of now, unless I figure something else out, can only continue till the end of June. But I'd really love to keep this group going and be a support to you all. So be sure to let us both know, and we're very happy. We really hope it was helpful.
Yes. Thanks again for having me on. It was great.
Okay, let me